The first of whom is Ellen Kowalczyk. And I don't know if you know this guy, Matt Kowalczyk, who's right here. Stand up. He is an entrepreneur with a problem. And poor Ellen has to deal with it. And there's no real, 12-step group for him to go to. So let's listen to Ellen and her plight. Please welcome Ellen Kowalczyk.
Thank you. So actually there was a 12-step group, but it stopped meeting in my living room when I put my foot down. So I'm going to talk a little bit about living with and not killing the entrepreneur in your life. 15 seconds is actually long. I'm a program manager, group program manager, business manager at Microsoft. I'm married to Matt Kowalczyk, and I have 2 twin girls, which is why these slides completely suck, because they got all my time. So, cool. So, you're sitting at home one day, and your significant other or roommate or spouse comes home and says, I have this great idea for a startup. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to invest all our funds. We're going to go do this thing. It's going to make tons of money. And your slides crash.
No extra charge for that.
Very good, thank you.
I'll give that one back.
So my responses have been many things, that from, oh my God, what the fuck are you thinking? You're gonna do a what? But now I'm more supportive and cautious, and there are 4 principles I now use to keep my life somewhat sane whenever this happens, which is about once a year. So the first principle is the space principle. And the space principle is that a startup will eventually take up as much space as it possibly can in your house. So you start out well. You're like, we're going to put the startup in this room over here. And then you come home one day, and you're about ready to make some dinner or sit down and eat something, and you hear, no, wait. I've got all the papers for our presentation here that we're doing tomorrow. I need you to eat someplace else. And I know I'm supposed to be in the office, but we're doing a trade show in a couple weeks, and all the stuff's piled in there, and I have a meeting later, so could you not be in the living room? So, containing the startup. When somebody gets the bright idea to have a startup in your house, set some ground rules. There is startup space and your space, and remember, you pay rent, and it doesn't, so you get first dibs. Then we have the time principle. So startups are great. They're a lifestyle, they're a passion, they're a job, and entrepreneurs never stop working. So you're out at dinner or a nice time, you finally get them out of the house. They run into somebody who's working for the VC, and suddenly you're having dinner with 2 people who are discussing a startup. Or you're at dinner and a phone call rings and you're eating dinner by yourself. Or you get home from a weekend and nothing's been done because they've been completely focused. So getting your cycles. Basically, it's a matter of setting dates ahead of time, holding them to it, and being assertive. It's okay to say, you know what? That phone call is going to wait until after we eat. And if they do have to really go do something, make sure they pay you back. So the money principle. The money principle basically is, entrepreneurs really are like gamblers. They're just one great idea away from making bank. And they'll invest whatever it takes to get to that. But you just can't forget to pay the bills, or decide that taxes really can be put off till later, or just decide that it's okay to raid the kids' college fund now, because the VC said, really, money's going to be here next month as soon as you get a new CEO and a plan. So protecting your assets. Have separate accounts for the startup and personal, and don't let money move between them. When the startup runs out of money, it's dead. Also, make sure that you have enough transparency into the startup that you know when somebody's completely gone overboard. And then the emotional ride. Startups are wonderful. They can have great highs and great lows, and they can eventually kill you if you're not careful. So I still remember this great conversation of, we got our first customer. We've got this huge thing signed up, followed by about a month later, the customer thinks we're going to pay them to use the product, not the other way around. And it can really get to you after a while. You get super excited, and then they're super down for 3 days, and they don't stop drinking. And so keeping your sanity. I advise keeping your own life and making sure you go out with your own friends, and finding other entrepreneurs for your entrepreneur and sending them off together to go talk, because there are times when you really have had enough of hearing about how the startup is currently doing. And then, of course, there's the intervention. If it gets to be too much, if they're not spending time with you, or they're not paying bills and they're not doing what they need to do, it's okay to sit down and say, you're done. You're going to go get a real job for a while. You're going to pay back everything, and then maybe we can consider it again. So to recap, living with a startup can be wonderful. Somebody's there to sign for packages and be around. On the other But if you don't take care of yourself, it will be bad. And the quick plug, of course, Exit 83, my husband's consulting company, which is what he now does, that startup, and Climb for Kids, which is the other startup that lives in our house, which is raising money for fetal syndromes like my twins had. So that's it. Thank you.